So it's rolling, is it? Yeah, it's rolling. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Elite Physique Training Podcast. I'm your host, Gareth Sapstead.
I'm James Walters.
And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Basically, we asked for listener questions, and we've got some really, really cool questions back from you guys. So today's episode, we're basically going to be answering all of your questions. We might kind of go off on a tangent, as we always do, but I think we're just going to have some fun just answering your questions because it's kind of what you want to hear, really.
But I think first, they should touch on where you are and what's going on with you first. People like to know. I'm very much fluffy, off-season. Prep should start in the next few weeks. But Gareth is closing in on his show, so fill us in.
Yeah. So I'm 3 weeks out, 3 weeks in a day, because, you know.
Every day counts.
The day counts. You know, chatting with James before the podcast, actually, obviously, because James is coaching me for it. Last week, I was a zombie. Like, I wasn't a nice person to be around. I wasn't horrible, but just really, really short fuse, which isn't good if you got a 2-year-old. And it's not to say like I was shouting at him or anything, but like, yeah, it's just a shorter fuse. Walking around, head down a little bit more tired. And then this week, I'll be honest, because I was honest with you, we kind of planned a little bit of a refeed at the weekend. That refeed kind of turned into a little bit more of a refeed than what it should have been. And basically my fats, it was more of a dirtier refeed. I didn't cheat, but it was a slightly more dirty refeed than what it should have been. But then this week, I've absolutely smashed it and done all my workouts, really, really good energy. A few changes to my food this week, which maybe we can chat about in the end.
Yeah.
I think because actually one of the questions is related to that as well. So this week, just head down, knuckling on with it, and just genuinely like excited at this point. Just my shorts came yesterday, and
They fit. Oh God.
So I had to. If you're a female competitor, like the stuff you go through for a bikini is in no comparison to stuff you go through just to get some board shorts. So I think male competitors get it a little bit easier than women.
But it's harder because you just go online and pick a pair of shorts and hope they fit.
Yeah.
And then it's always based on the waist.
Yes.
So then what I find is I fit in the waist, but I can't fit on my legs.
Yeah.
Not my legs are not by any means huge, but some I've had pairs that come up to here and like they're not going any further. But the waist is small enough, big enough.
So I ordered a pair from a US company. I won't mention the name. Ordered a pair, and they were meant to arrive weeks ago. Basically, long story short, a few emails back and forth. I had to cancel the order in the end, and I ordered from a UK company, Vaso Athletics, and they sent them out within like 2 days, on the money with it. They were a size 30 waist. Got them yesterday, and the waist was too big. So like normally, like I'm like a 32 waist when I'm lean-ish, and so I thought 30 that'd be fine. So I've had to send those back and get 28 now.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the only minor issues.
I think the next pair, regardless how it fits, if it's not perfect, just go to tailor.
Yeah.
If you've got a local tailor, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get them shortened, like my old pairs, because no one will be wearing them anymore.
Yeah.
So go there, get them shortened, and with the new rules, shortened and tighter, and then they'll be like kind of retro-ish.
So the last pair you wore, were they under the new rules with them being a little bit shorter?
No.
They weren't.
They were, I think it was the same day as Olympia, I think I competed, so the rules hadn't come in yet.
Right.
But they're framed up now, so
okay.
they can't be worn again.
You had to crack that frame open just to
they're my favourite shorts as well.
Are they the yellow ones?
Yeah, they're like gold and purple, so
Yeah.
they're locked away. I won, obviously, the pro card, and I won my sword in it 2 years ago. So like they've had enough of winning. Let's see if it's me or the shorts now.
Okay, they've been like retired now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's go on to some Q&A, shall we?
Let's go.
Okay, so I've just kind of scribbled these down. I copied and pasted them from various resources. So we put some on the Facebook group. We put some on Instagram. So first one, Stephanie Frykberg, best techniques to fight through hunger and cravings during prep.
I normally recommend clients to make sure you have enough water during the day. I like to drink like a big glass of water before you eat. That's kind of fills a hole. Then you put the food in, you're kind of a bit fuller. And meal timing is really important. So depending on your work schedule and stuff, but if you can delay meal one and push all the meals later in the day where typically people are hungrier, that just helps you feel fuller before going to bed. Where I feel, definitely myself, I can kind of starve all day, but I can't sleep. So if I get more of my meals in the evening, then I can sleep, and it's a lot easier to manage.
My big thing is always promoting like food volume, just maximizing food volume. But obviously, there's downsides to that, which like me and you were communicating over the last few weeks about as well. So when we talk about like maximizing food volume, we're talking about, like, as an example, vegetables. You can get the same amount of carbs for more volume than pasta and rice, as an example. That's not to necessarily say, we'll go into that in a second, what you're laughing about. That's not necessary to say that you need to be swapping more vegetables for your carb sources, but just as an example, that's more food volume. The opposite to that is if you're trying to get calories in, well, you're trying to minimize food volume, aren't you? Peanut butter, right? People talk about peanut butter being great, and it's brilliant as a fat source, but a small amount of peanut butter is a lot of calories.
It's a lot of calories.
So that's very little food volume for a lot of calories, relatively speaking. So maximizing food volume. So as an example, egg whites are a great source of food volume for your protein source. You can get a larger volume of egg whites for your, say, 30 grams of protein than you could a chicken breast, even for 30 grams of protein. You can get, one thing I've been doing this week, which might sound weird to some people, is I've been swapping out rice for rice cakes, because I have had those hunger pangs. Instead of, say, 125 grams of rice for lunch, I've been having like 6 rice cakes. So, it's something to kind of nibble on. It's exactly the same carb source, exactly the same fiber content, exactly the same calories, but I can take longer to eat that, and there's more of a volume from it.
Definitely. The ability to sit and chew for 10 minutes rather than 2 minutes helps psychologically. And you can eat them slowly, just small bites, little graze. Oh, another thing I do is, I think we spoke about it before, like a baby spoon or a teaspoon or a latte spoon.
Oh, yeah.
So with your cream of rice, it just takes longer to eat, and it's just that psychological edge of, I'm sitting there for closer to the normal time that I normally do to eat this meal rather than 3 minutes, finish, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So yeah, get your teaspoon out.
Get your little teaspoon. There was the old England football manager, Sven-Göran Eriksson, was renowned for eating. He had a diet. He ate all of his food with a mini knife and fork. He was really renowned for it because he thought it allowed him to kind of manage his weight a little bit better. As weird as it sounds, it's a good idea. It takes you longer to eat.
There's only so much you can get on a teaspoon.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a big spoon, the whole thing goes in your mouth. You're sitting there with a teaspoon, that will take you such a long period of time. So that knocks me onto the other one, actually, cream of rice.
Yeah.
You can make it so much more voluminous.
Yeah.
Put more water in, microwave it, add more water,
Yeah.
microwave it. And you end up with a fairly big bowl of water, really.
Yeah.
But if you can get it right and the consistency, it's a lot. You can get a fair amount of volume from 30, 40 grams of cream of rice.
And you can whisk egg whites in there as well, then put it back in again. Instead of adding, say, you can add your protein powder. You can mix your protein powder into your cream of rice, or you can use it as a sludge on top of your cream of rice if you want to. Or you can use egg whites in there as your protein source and get a little bit more food volume, and maybe use less protein powder or whatever. And have a similar quality of protein. But one thing I want to go on to is maximizing food volume and the downside of that. So for a competitor, like mainstream, if you're just dieting to get in great shape and to get to a certain level, then you can be maximizing food volume by doing things like swapping out less rice for more. Cauliflower rice is great, for example.
It's expensive, though.
And things. It is expensive, yeah. And we can go on to that in a bit, because actually one of the questions is related to saving money around things.
Don't do that.
Yeah, so we can go on to that in a bit. What's up, guys? Just interrupting this podcast for a brief moment to tell you about our online coaching services at Team Elite Physique Training. So if you're interested in getting in the best shape of your life, whether it's to look great naked, for the beach, for your partner, or to compete at the highest level or for the first time, then Team Elite Physique Training provide world-class coaching services to everyone. All you need to do is head to thefitnessmaverick.com homepage and book your free consultation. Even if you're not sure, book a free consultation with a coach and we can walk you through exactly what we can provide for you. Head to thefitnessmaverick.com and apply today. I'm big into eating like cucumber and pickles. I know pickles are a lot of salt, but I'm fine with, I kind of maintain my salt levels anyway. But the downside with eating more of that when you're competing and you're kind of taking your diet to another level, and digestion is a massive, massive player, you get more bloating. Because fiber intake's higher. You've got so much food volume in there coming from your vegetables that you're bloated. You're more gassy. You lift the bed sheets up in the morning and it's a party under there.
When you're prepping and you're getting close to a show like yourself, you want things as smooth and as consistent as possible. So if we're chucking in more and more veg because we're getting hungrier, you might wake up on show day and be like, my belly's out to here. And there's not really much you can do between the morning of the show to the show, especially the males are on in the morning. So it's keeping things as consistent as possible. Then there's no surprises when we get on stage.
Yeah,
which is definitely what we want.
So actually, there's some really high level competitors. Actually, Sandy, who competed last weekend, the Triple O Dynasty. She is renowned for basically just sticking to fish and rice cakes.
Oh, like the guy.
Yeah, the old school fish and rice cakes. Now, like some people might laugh about it, but if you stick to or some kind of protein source, like might be I don't know, might be chicken or something that she uses. But rice cakes and kind of almost having a very, very low intake of vegetables. And then what she normally does is use like a green supplement or a red supplement to get like some kind of a little bit of fiber content in there, some vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics that those sometimes have as well. But by keeping fiber intake low, digestion's running nicely, things are predictable, how your body's responding, it's taking the guesswork out of what things you're having to buy. So although it might seem weird to some people when you are competing at a very high level, doing some weird stuff like that for shorter periods of time can mean the difference between first, second, third, fourth, etc.
But fish is so light on the stomach as well, so it's just easily broken down, easier than chicken, definitely more than like red meat. So that's just going straight in and straight out, quite simply digested into the body so easily.
But it's like some people just don't deal well with certain protein sources. Actually, some people just don't digest beef very well, do they? They don't have the pepsin, etc., in the stomach to be able to digest it well. Some people just don't chew for long enough.
That's the most important thing for digestion. Everyone wants supplements and this food and that food, but chewing your food, I can't remember what it is, 30 times per mouthful or something?
Like that, yeah.
I know we're not going to do that much typically, but that is the best way to break down your food.
So, some people, it takes them longer to digest certain forms of protein. So, which can benefit you because it sits there for longer, but also in other ways doesn't benefit you if you're bloated all the time and it sits there for longer.
The long and the short of it is, if you're in a contest prep, you're going to do some suffering.
Yeah.
If you want to get into that stage condition, you will have to suffer. Whether or not you're using voluminous cream of rice, cauliflower rice, whatever it is you're doing, there will still be some suffering. And even if someone's food looks like a lot and they're in condition, they're still suffering.
Yeah.
It's all relative to the person, their size, how they train, their cardio, this, that, and the other. I don't know if suffering is the word. I know that's the word most people use, but it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
We choose to do it. We're not, we have 5, 6, or 4 to 6, 7 meals a day. How much suffering is it? But that's probably a subject for another podcast.
Yeah, I tell you some of the things I'm doing at the moment to keep my food volume high, but also my digestion in a good place. So lots of berries, breakfast. That's always a good one, easy to digest. I tend to buy frozen berries, just as good as the fresh stuff, cheaper as well, last longer. So berries with breakfast. And then, egg whites are a big one. I have egg whites with my breakfast as well. Again, just maximise that food volume. One thing I've done over the last few days, I've actually eliminated the carbs. I'm talking to Coach James now. So Coach James, I've actually eliminated my carbs during my workout now. And I've put those carbs in the cream of rice after my workout that I'm having at the moment. Exact same calories, exact same. But I'm, again, just getting a little bit more food volume with that. So I'm still having EAAs during, but those 20 grams of carbs I was having during, I'm having afterwards with a solid food form. So I'm basically just not drinking my carbs for the last few days.
They'll be gone to see it anyway, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I've just found kind of helped me. And if you've got, your coach might have written a plan to do X, Y, and Z, but
you should do X, Y, and Z, by the way.
Yeah. You should do. No. You should do X, Y, and Z, and ask your coach permission first. But if you've got just a little bit of knowledge, you know that you can make some smart swaps as long as you obviously run it by your coach. So I'm running this by you.
But most importantly, as long as you're progressing, and we know you are. So that is the most important thing. But it's good to know and good to let other people know.
And then rice cakes, I've swapped that for some rice cakes. We changed vegetable intake a little bit. You suggested cucumber lettuce. So just
high
plain
water, really, isn't
water
it?
content.
It's low in fibre compared
iceberg,
to the
lettuce.
other bits,
Been doing that. Minimising from a digestion point of view, I try to minimise onions, garlic, try and minimise that as much as possible. So anyone using those spices and stuff with the dried garlic, dried onion and stuff, that's one I'd say avoid if you're looking to compete or you're pretty close to things.
I don't really when I get to the end, I'm just tired and hungry, so I just put any seasoning on and just chuck it in the air fryer. Normally my chicken's cooked now like this for the last 6 months, but before it was just get something cooked. I don't have time to fry any onions or do anything like that. When you're that hungry, as long as you're getting something, it doesn't matter what it tastes like to some degree.
I'm pretty much salt and pepper, Tabasco, sometimes some sriracha, sometimes some mustard, some yellow mustard, sometimes. But I'm hardly using any of it. My digestive system is okay with it as well. Some people, especially with those pepper-based sauces, don't deal well with those. But generally speaking, if you can keep things more plain, it's going to be better. But to reduce the quote-unquote suffering, if you want to use that word.
We need to, the most important thing is adherence.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have sriracha and hot sauce and follow the plan, then not, and then, have a burger or something you're not supposed to have, then by all means have it. I think things like hot sauce, all those sort of chili sauces, they're not actually marketed as low calorie, but they are very low calorie. So they don't have all the additives like the skinny sauces and all those, which often people can find digestive problems with. So I've kind of stopped using those.
Because although they tend to be slightly fewer calorie, don't they? The skinny syrups and stuff. Because they tend to have sweeteners in like sugar alcohols and stuff, and I think cellulose and xanthan gum and stuff like that, and thickeners in, your body doesn't quite deal as well with them versus an extra maybe 2 calories to have some sriracha or some mustard or something. I'd rather have the mustard.
But when you look at it, you have, a bowl of rice and chicken, for example. When you get a Skinny Foods, sweet chili sauce, you end up squirting so much on it because it's so nice. But with a hot sauce, because it's fairly hot, and the little, pipette or whatever on the top, it only gets out a little bit, and that's all
Tabasco.
you need. You just need a little bit, and it's job done. So it's a lot less volume. So using, probably less than 3 grams, whereas you're using 30 grams of the sauce, which can mess up your digestion. And then I think with digestion and the sweeteners, you've got that coming in, as well as your sweeteners in your coffee, your protein, your cream of rice, and then that's on how many other meals. So it's a lot of sweetener, so it can just add to the problem of digestion.
Yeah. I think it's probably important to note, like, the way we're talking right now is for competitors. Like, if you're someone that wants to lose, like, your first 10 pounds, that's a completely different conversation. Because I think if you're that person and you're listening to this, then you're like, how restrictive do I need to be to, like, I can't have this and I can't have this. What we're kind of talking about those people that want to lose, like, the last 10 pounds versus the people that want to lose the first 10 pounds.
The last 10 pounds to stage.
Yes.
So it's not just their last 10 pounds, but yeah, definitely, it's definitely, if you're a lifestyle person, you just want to lose weight, you want to look great on the beach, by all means have those sources. Whatever helps you get the job done, use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're a competitor, just get the job done and suffer a little bit.
Yeah. And then a few other foods that I'm having at the moment. In the evening, so we changed like an evening snack, which was like a little protein pot that I quite like from Aldi. They're really, really nice. They're like 160-ish calories. But like the food, there's not a lot of food volume in there. And it, like, for me, 2 minutes and it's gone. And then they're really, really great. But swapping that for like 250 odd grams of egg whites, as boring as that sounds, like I can sit there and have some egg whites with a little bit of like low calorie sauce, like 5 calorie sauce on top, or even just salt and pepper, and be more happy because it takes me 10 minutes to eat that. Versus maybe not 10 minutes, 5 minutes. More happy eating that.
Change the cutlery.
Yeah. Than I need to get one of those little mini knife and forks. Than sat eating like a pudding, a protein pudding, and it'd be gone in like 30 seconds or something.
I used to, with my egg whites in the evening, I did something similar, but I'd make them sweet. So I'd have a few flavour drops in with like the mixture.
I was going to mention this.
Just make a thin layer in your frying pan with fry light, and then just make a few of those. And then you get a little sweet.
Because there's a US company, I've tried to get them shipped over here, but it's so expensive, Muscle Egg.
Oh, they do
Have
the
you
flavoured.
seen them? They actually do the flavour.
Like a big carton of,
massive cartons.
I've looked into that myself.
I know, and it would just be too expensive to ship over here. But I thought whether you could do the exact same thing with like those flavoured powders, the sugar-free syrups and things like that.
Just the flavour drops that you get, like you normally see me carrying around for my coffee. Yeah, just put a few of those in there, and you got pancakes.
It's like a sweet omelette, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But I make them really thin, so it's more of a pancake, and you can roll it up. Okay. I have a few of them.
So you think you're having like some kind of fancy French crepe, but really
exactly.
it's
just... it's all in your head, right?
Yeah.
You paint that picture, and you believe it enough. That's it, it's fine. Close your eyes and you're there.
So this is why we're doing a Q&A, because we can talk forever about like one question. So let's move on to another one. So another nutrition-related one. Rebecca Wagner asks, what are your peak week strategies for competitors? James?
Peak week strategies. Ideally, so we're talking about yourself, for example, makes it easier, more relevant to talk about you. So we're 3 weeks out. So really, we've got maybe 2 weeks of fat loss to happen. And then the last week is just kind of removing inflammation. So we're looking to reduce cardio output, training volume or intensity, and potentially looking to introduce some carbs and manipulate water. So we use things like Peak Max, which is a water formula which helps drive the water out of the body. I think it's got things like vitamin C, dandelion root, and bits and bobs like that.
It's basically an over-the-counter diuretic. There's a few brands out there, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we just titrate that over the week, reduce water the day before, and we should wake up nice and dry. In terms of food, like we said, when I do a refeed, I like to do it with a reason, with a purpose. So yes, they might need to be freshened up, they might need to increase training performance, but if I can have a look at what Gareth looks like after having this refeed and seeing how he looks tomorrow, and it looks better than today, that information I can take and use before the show day. So he's going to have a refeed next week on, haven't put the day, but potentially Monday, let's say, have a refeed. He'll check in the morning, see what he looks like. Then I'm going to see what he looks like on Tuesday, and he'll very likely go back to baseline. And then we'll also see what he looks like on Wednesday. So from that information, where does he look best? And by doing that, when it comes to show day, there's no surprises because we've done it before. There are tweaks along the way, don't get me wrong, but if we can replicate that, Gareth knows what he's going to wake up and looking like. And if he, which I know he is, obviously working from home and can get to the gym when I need, I can put him in the gym on the, let's say, Tuesday around showtime. So I think it's 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So he can get in the gym. We can put in maybe 1 or 2 meals, which we would do on show day. He would train, which is replicate his pump, and then we'll have a look again. And I can influence the water that's gone in on that day as well. And then that's just so much information ready to take forward into the real actual show.
I think it's a really good breakdown, and the key to all that being successful is communication with your coach. Like having a coach there that actually, you know, you can access and speak to anytime you want, a coach that cares, a coach that, you know, looks at your pictures, you know, daily if needed to, you know, just to see how your body's responding, isn't it?
But it's like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So coaches have to be invested in it.
Yeah.
So me just talking about you there, I'm going to look at you Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
And potentially twice on Tuesday and potentially twice on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then you got your normal check-ins on top of that. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's also, if someone's working 9 to 5, it's not as easily done. But if you can do it, by all means, we're going to do it.
Absolutely. I'll approach the question a little bit differently to you. So there's various approaches that I use with my competitors. So with my background, I'm mostly used to working with women. That's where my experience is. You know, I don't put men to stage. You know, I provide training, etc., for men to put them to stage, but it's female competitors that I specialise in, and that's where I've got experience in. And then with regards to men, photo shoot prep and peaking for that, which is slightly different. So there are kind of 3 main peaking strategies really that I'll use and people talk about. Different names given to them, but front loading, back loading, and then step loading. Okay, they're your main ones.
What's step loading?
So
linear?
Yeah, basically like a linear increase. So front loading is basically, you might have your carbs more towards the beginning. Let's say your show days on Saturday. You might have your carbs more towards like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday maybe, you know, but you manipulate those throughout the week. So basically you spill, so spill over, look watery, etc. Fill, spill, and then basically dry out afterwards. So you pull back afterwards, maybe the day before the show or day before the show, and then show day you kind of put some carbs back in, kind of backstage, and do it that way. I have used that one successfully in the past, but it tends to work a lot better for older women. And it tends to work better for especially women that don't like to feel as though they're bloated and they've got a lot of food in them the day before, especially a show and the day of a show, because psychologically having a lot of food in you, doesn't do good things for your confidence.
As well as all that water going in.
And you got to remember that water can really only go in when carbs go in. So if you've got a water load, you kind of got a water load when you've got carbs going in as well, but that's another conversation. So I tend to like that approach for women that are slightly, not older, because I'm close to this age, but like 40 plus women.
Okay, so all the women who are doing this plan given by you, Gareth classes you as older women.
You're not older women, because I'm close to that age as well. What I mean is like 20-year-old, right? 20-year-old, I probably wouldn't use that approach with, okay?
Why?
It's not that I wouldn't use that approach. I've just seen it work better for masters competitors, say, than open competitors or younger competitors. For younger, I've tended to see more of a step loading approach work a little bit better, and almost increase carbs gradually throughout the week. So think of, I like kind of like a balloon analogy for your muscles. obviously when you're dieting, you've got like a empty, flat, deflated balloon, right? And you basically want to fill up that balloon with carbs as much as you can, but you don't want it to pop, which is what we call spillover, look watery, look like junk on the stage, etc. So a step loading approach is where, let's say Monday or Tuesday, you might be like, okay, I want you to have an extra 50 grams of carbs today. Okay, let's fill up that balloon a little bit today, and then let's see how you look. And then the next day, let's add another 30 to 40 to 50 grams, whatever, depends on your body weight. But let's see how that looks the day after. So we're gradually filling up the balloon and seeing how you look each day during the week, with the idea that we get to a point and we kind of hold that point until show day, and we don't really need to kind of manipulate anything else. So that's a step loading approach. I tend to find that works really well with women that are a little bit younger, or actually, to be fair, a lot of women that does work well with, because you can, again, gauge things during the week.
So I think it's less of a sort of a male-female discrepancy. It's more of a class to class.
Yeah.
So a female, let's talk bikini versus men's physique, a female doesn't need to be bursting full vascular, this and that, because it doesn't fit the criteria.
Yeah.
Whereas for yourself or myself, men's physique, we want to be, hard, dry, full.
Yeah.
I use the analogy of I use a raisin and a grape.
Yeah.
So the flat raisin, fill it with water, and you get a full round grape. That's what your muscles to look like. But yeah,
it's massively dependent on the person, the class, etc., etc. And like, I have used all approaches in the past very, very well, but the one approach I don't tend to use as much with women is that backloading approach that we're using, mostly because of it's more of a psychological thing. And even though we can kind of predict things and do like refeed days, etc., and have a look at how things are looking, it just doesn't tend to work quite as well, just from my experience, with women as it does potentially with men, which is obviously where your experience lies. But then
women as well. But I will do a linear load. To be honest, I feel like without a carb up, most women should be fine.
Yeah.
Because you're reducing that calorie deficit by reducing output through the week. So cardio is coming down drastically. So they should start to feel fresher, start to look fuller, because they're not, training as hard. So it takes a little bit extra food, if any, and that should create the look that we want, rather than a dude who's got more muscle that needs filling out. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a lot of food, but typically more than your average bikini girl.
What's up, guys? Just interrupting this podcast for a brief moment to tell you about our online coaching services at Team Elite Physique Training. So if you're interested in getting in the best shape of your life, whether it's to look great naked, for the beach, for your partner, or to compete at the highest level or for the first time, then Team Elite Physique Training provide world-class coaching services to everyone. All you need to do is head to thefitnessmaverick.com homepage and book your free consultation. Even if you're not sure, book a free consultation with a coach and we can walk you through exactly what we can provide for you. Head to thefitnessmaverick.com and apply today. Well, there's one thing we haven't even mentioned is that no peak week strategy. You might need to diet all the way up until show day.
You laugh. I'm sure I told you, but in Denmark, pro win, because we decided on Wednesday, there was no time to peak.
Yeah.
We just carried on. I trained all the way through, obviously reduced the intensity a little bit. I think we got to Denmark and I was kind of bored. I had nothing to do because I was like by myself because no one could come. So I just trained, I think, both days leading up to the show, Thursday, Friday, show was on Saturday. Barely got to manipulate water because there was no time. In terms of food, we just had a few extra carbs with a couple of meals the night before. And, if you're ready, you're kind of ready. Yeah. And it allowed me to use, like you said, the majority of the time leading into the show for fat loss.
I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of coaches and athletes make is trying to overcomplicate things, thinking that they need a peak week, thinking that they need it to be fancy. Whereas sometimes you're chasing a 1% improvement and actually it result in like a 20% loss in how your physique looks. Sometimes you just need to just diet up until the end.
But if you're ready,
yeah,
you just reduce the inflammation and freshen it up. And if you're not ready, like you say, you're just using as much time as possible to. There's no point carving someone up if you're already soft.
yeah,
You just drive as much fat loss as you can, and hop on stage. And like you say, you'd rather be prepared and know what you're going to look like rather than just throw a massive curveball in, start messing with sodium and all these other things and all these manipulations, and wake up hoping for 1% more, but you don't really know what you're going to get. And then even if you wake up on the money, you might wake up at 5, 6 on show day. You could be on hours later.
Yeah.
And with all those changes, your body could still be adapting. And I know, especially in the UK, it's the men's shows first. So you've got bodybuilding, classic, men's physique, there's a break, and then you've got the women, and I think bikini's like last.
yeah.
So that's a long time to hold a look. And if you haven't done it before, it's a lot of, not guessing, but it's a lot of hoping for the best.
Yeah, and there's obviously differences in classes. So, bikini, at the end of the day, you're not trying to be the leanest on stage. You're not trying to be vascular. Your veins aren't trying to be popping. We had, Team EPT athlete Katie Hanses competed last weekend. She was the best shape, judges said this, the best shape in the entire competition, right? But when it comes to bikini, being in the best shape doesn't necessarily get you the win. She was too lean. So she came second behind a girl that, no disrespect, but I would argue actually didn't have the conditioning, was under-conditioned, but was closer to the bikini criteria that they wanted to see. Katie had striated adductors.
But is it under-conditioned? Is the correct level of conditioning? So what's the plan in terms of you and Katie going to another show?
Yeah, so we've planned. So we know now. We knew she was ready 4 weeks beforehand, and we pulled things back. We were already ahead of schedule, which was great. We pulled things back. We increased calories in an attempt to try to look softer, and for some reason her body just kept on dropping fat, getting dry, getting lean.
It's a good problem.
Yeah, it was a good problem.
I wish I had that problem.
It was a really, really good problem to have. But we just kind of didn't catch it soon enough, to be honest.
So how are you going to approach the next show?
Okay, so next show right now, we've got 12 weeks, I think. 12 weeks until the next show, just because of her schedule, what she's chosen. Okay. So we've actually got time right now to somewhat reverse and kind of pull her to, basically she does need to increase body fat. Yeah. So we're just gradually building up calories to get to a point. So she competed, I think she was 98 pounds, I think she competed at. Okay. Whereas I think probably based on what they were looking at, she probably needs to be closer to like 102, 103, something like that. So we're just going to approach it a little bit differently. Right now, we're just trying to gain a little bit of body fat and just try and soften that look a bit. Posing coach is Sharonica, that's working with her as well. So Sharonica sees her posing and stuff and gives us feedback as well. And then we will probably just approach the peak week a little bit differently. We might even purposefully cause her to like spill over a little bit if we need to.
I would do it a couple of days earlier, probably spill over, and then you can still carb more, but pull back and she's already full.
But you've got
12 weeks.
I know, we've got 12 weeks. We've got
get it right.
I know. So it's going to be exciting, and like the feedback from that show is phenomenal. They basically said like your conditioning is fantastic, your shape, absolutely love it. Like you got so much potential, and she's a natural competitor as well, and competing in an NPC show, and it was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, she was just coming in too lean. So there's a lot of potential there. So the idea is that next show we nationally qualify, and then we go for a national show after. That's what we got in the books at the moment.
One thing you touched on there, which I forgot about my peak weeks, not necessarily peak weeks, but it's trying to associate and look with a weight. Yeah. So I always go back to you because you're here.
Yeah.
If we do the carb up on the Monday, Tuesday you look great. What do you weigh? I could even check what you weigh on Monday night going to bed and what you weigh Tuesday morning. So then we know at 75 kilos, you're on.
Yeah.
But you went to bed at 78 kilos. So pre-show, I need to feel you enough to be 78 kilos or so. And you should wake up 75 or so. And that's the look we're going for. My coach makes me bring my scales with me. So you probably bring yours with you. Yeah. And you just, at the venue, I'll be there anyway. Yeah. But at the venue, you'll be trying to hold that 75 kilo-ish look. So if you dropped off, we know we need to put in a bit more water, a bit more food to sort of, and then we know if we're around that ballpark, we're on.
Yeah. I think
something might work, for you and Katie, because you said 101?
Yeah, I think she competed like 97, 98 pounds, but probably 102, 103-ish.
In her reverse, you see her at 102, 103 or that area, and you'll know, is that the look you're trying to replicate?
Yeah.
And then obviously you should go past it.
Yeah.
But then when you come back down, you're kind of looking to hold in that area.
That's basically what we're trying to do. Like, simple way to put it is we're trying to actually get her to gain a little bit of fat now and see what she looks like as we go along, and then go from there.
From a hormone standpoint as well, especially as a female, to gain some body fat, especially. That's why I was so alarmed. It was 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I like to go show, stop.
I know. It was just it was a scheduling thing. It's like, even an ideal world, you put it a little bit closer.
Oh, definitely.
But from a scheduling perspective, it worked out quite nicely. And then this show is only 2. So if she NQs, it's only 2 or 3 weeks before a national show as well. So that timing could work out. So we're basically hoping that she nationally qualifies on that first show, and then 2-3 weeks, and into that national show.
In the UK, everyone qualifies.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure if it's the same in the US, but all you have to do is turn up and go on stage. You can be finished last, you can be fat, you can be whatever. You go on stage, you pay your money, you qualify.
Yeah.
And then when you go to...
Not in this show.
It's different.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, because sometimes it's just a ticking box.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just go in soft. You don't want to peak twice in a few weeks or whatever. Tick the box and then bring it in for your pro qualifier.
New rules just come in, just kind of going off topic here, new rules just come in with a lot of the European countries. If there's not a regional there
in your country,
they can now go straight to a national abroad. Yeah.
But when you come back, you still have to do a qualifier if you haven't turned pro before you go.
And I think they have to have done a regional the previous year though in their own country, if it was available.
Not sure about that.
Yeah.
But I know in the calendar year, if there hasn't been a regional, you can go and do any pro qualifier. But once there has been one, you have to tick that box.
Yeah, I think that came in literally this week or last week. I don't know. I've seen it somewhere. It's more of I think it's some of the Eastern European countries that don't have
less shows. Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's not fair. They're missing out on bigger shows because they haven't done a regional. So yeah, I think it's fair.
Quick one with Peak Week. You kind of touched it, but training wise, touching it really, really briefly. Training wise, again, depends on the look you're going for. Depends on what you're competing in. I tend to if we try and go for a slightly drier look, so figure. Okay, so if you're in figure, you obviously want to be leaner. You obviously want to show more striations, muscle lines, etc.
In comparison to bikini, I'm guessing.
In comparison to bikini.
For context, yeah.
In comparison to bikini, figure, you do want a nice, drier, harder look. So I tend to pull a lower body session back, maybe up to 7 to 10 days. So in that peak week, I tend to, not always, in that peak week not train legs, just to allow some inflammation to go down. So the last leg day might be 7 days, 8 days, 9 days before their actual show day. Whereas with a bikini, especially a wellness competitor, actually a few wellness competitors recently, I've actually hammered lower body a little bit more in that last week, keeping things light, not pushing the weight, but more frequency, higher volume, actually to create a little bit more inflammation, a little bit more of a puffier look in that lower
pump.
body. Yeah, like hold a bit of a pump, that kind of muscle myogenic tone in that lower body.
Especially when you're potentially putting more carbs in as well. It's nice to send the nutrients, try to send them,
Straight
shuttle them
there.
to the right area.
And then bikini is kind of, I see it kind of somewhere in the middle. So we might do some lower body in that. We probably will do some lower body in that week. But again, it depends on the look. So that's one probably major difference with training within that last week. Obviously, the idea behind that peak week is at the end of the day, you want your body to respond to the carbs that are coming in. If you're training too hard, if you're lifting too heavy, you're treating it like, you want to create maximum muscle damage, blah, blah, blah. Actually, your body doesn't use those carbs as well versus...
They're using them for the training, aren't they? Rather than
it for the training.
Having it to stick.
Yeah.
And look for like they're just depleting what we're putting in.
At the end of the day, you're peaking like you're going to compete in the Olympic Games as a sprinter or something. You're peaking. You want your muscles to be recovered to an extent.
To sprint as well as you can.
Yeah, to sprint as well as you can, as well as be as full as they can to compete, but also making sure you've got the look, the amount of dryness, leanness that you want to be having as well. So they're kind of the main differences that I see with peak week strategies as far as training goes. The day before, I tend to cut cardio and weights training the day before. Sometimes it might be a mini pump session, but it tends to just be like, stay active, get your step count in. You can go to the gym, but just walk at the gym, just kind of keep moving,
like
keep
maintaining that the routine.
Yeah.
Especially when like you're in a prep, like you're not sleeping well, you're up early. So if you woke up, I know you were in the US, you're waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I was still talking to you. I was like, if you didn't have cardio because you had a show, what were you going to be doing? You're going to be sitting there looking at the clock, thinking about food.
Yes.
So maybe they're not doing cardio, but you can go out and do a walk, go to the gym and do a pump, just to keep that routine going. So it's as routine as possible, I guess,
One more thing that I want to mention, actually, and this is one thing I have used, and I would say it's like a secret to a lot of my competitors and why some of them do quite well. It's not that big. It's not that. When they wake up on show day, I make them do their pump routine straight away. So they can kind of practice their backstage pump routine. They can do their posing at the same time, which obviously goes hand in hand. But basically, we're just kind of sensitizing their body to what's about to happen, the carbs that are coming in. And also, I think it's a really good one for confidence. Wake up, a little bit of a pump first thing, have your breakfast, sensitize your body to some carbohydrates, and then you have your food, whatever's planned out for you. And then I just think the body responds a heck of a lot better doing that versus wake up, food, you're pretty cold, and then you get to your show, and then you get backstage, you do your pump routine, you have your food. I just think that just having that thing first thing in the morning when you wake up, getting that little bit of a pump has a massive difference just with that nutrient partitioning and how your body deals with the food for the rest of the day. I also think like just by getting some blood flow going, I think from a digestive perspective, it's just nice just to get that going.
You touched on it, like the psychological the positiveness to take from being pumped up, doing your check-in and looking awesome straight away. That's going to set you up for the day rather than waking up looking flatter, let's say.
Because you might not have trained the day before as well, and you're a bit like I love training. So sometimes it's like not training the day before, and I've just woken up, and like almost like you've lost some momentum for a few days.
You've got the carbs, they're there. Yeah, they're just not like your muscles are not on yet.
Yeah.
So normally you save that to go on stage, like backstage, you'll save it for. But I think seeing it in the morning, seeing it come through will definitely help. And I think what a lot of people don't realise, as much as it seems like a physical battle, it's mainly psychological, which I'm sure you're finding out now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. But yeah, 3 weeks a day.
If you're in the UK or not, get down to Garage.
Yeah, I've actually got someone, one of your male clients as well, and Donna, who I train in person, which is the girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
So they're getting off a flight from Dubai that morning and driving straight to the show. They're coming. Nice. Yeah. So they're making the effort. And then, obviously we've got a few more people coming as well. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
And there'll be a whole vlog.
Yeah.
I don't even know the angle it's going to be. It's going to be the coach's angle, the athlete's angle, but it will be there. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube.
So we'll end the podcast on that. So we've got more Q&As to go, but what we'll do, because this has kind of become more of a competition prep, peak week dieting thing, we'll kind of stop there on this one. And then in our next podcast episode, we'll cover some other questions which are a little bit more kind of lifestyle focus, general pop dieting and things like that.
Perfect. We'll see you there.